Hello everybody, Necronomico and the Cosmic Horror Show has dropped its first episode, and this show has honestly surprised me. With a rating of 2.6 with 665 people having already rated it. I was expecting something a lot worse. From what I can find online, the only complaints I can see are things like German subtitles. So it seems like these guys are getting review bombed because subtitles? I didn't really see much of a problem with it. Maybe source readers know a little bit more than I do, but the show's easy to follow. I didn't have any problems with that. Maybe it's the animation, because the animation is quite strange. But overall, I think it's a drawing issue, not an animation issue. And I don't think there's a real problem with either. It's just a little different. Anyway, getting into the story, we start off with learning that our main character is kind of a YouTuber. They call her a VTuber, but obviously from what I've seen of her videos, she's not a VTuber like I am. She's a YouTuber like Markiplier, but like a lot less famous. She's not very popular. She has a couple 3,000-ish viewers from what I can tell. And then we get this guy who knows about her. That is a man, I'm pretty sure, is talking about paying rent, all this other stuff. I think they own a bar, either that or she's like, this guy is her landlord. Necronomico's landlord. Not really sure how this all fits together. We get this lore drop that there was someone that was a popular streamer that used to live with them and be very close that is now gone and in the hospital for some reason, and that things have changed since she's not been around. We then hear about this offer that Necronomico got. She meets this other girl who was a beauty stylist that did some kind of appearance with Necronomico and accidentally flashed the camera, and now like all of her audience is weirdos and she's super mad about it. So she's like, if I win this competition that's got like $100,000 on the line, you have to go on camera and publicly apologize. Yeah, that's gonna be a whole thing. She seems to be a good sport about it, of course. Not like she's like, oh, no way am I ever gonna do that. She seems genuine in her actions. Definitely not rude in any way, just accepting the fact that things are the way they are. Then we get this interesting lineup of characters. My thoughts are these are gonna be our permanent characters. So we have brunette woman, smart man, obvious gamer, our main character Necronomico, and the girl who was a fashion idol or something. Seems like that's going to be our lineup for our characters. And this woman is kind of like the event's host. So she's basically saying that this system, Gaddis, will transport you into a world where reality and illusions blur. So you don't know what reality is and what illusion is. It's like a VR game. And everyone's just under the impression that this is just a VR game. So, fairly interesting premise. You know, like, kind of boring slice of life stuff so far. Popular streamers are all going to go play this game that's like virtual reality, and they're gonna win money if they win. So, you know, common slice of life stakes so far. Of course, this is called a horror show, so we know it's not gonna stay slice of life very long. And this scene happens where this is the scene where they go into the VR, where they have these red wires lined up onto their wrists and onto their like necks and stuff. I'm guessing this somehow induces them and connects their brain to the system and allows them to connect into the virtual reality game. And then they turn into these weird chibi-like characters, which honestly, I don't hate this art style. It's a little weird, hard to take seriously, but it's not bad. I like it. It's cute, very almost kind of Madoka Magic-y, not in the sense that it's that same art style, but like the color, the niceties of it all. It very much reminds me of an anime that's not trying to be a horror show, but more like a nice friendly twist, just to have it twist even more into horror later, which I'm pretty sure it's going to go into the horror direction just because the name and like what happens later on in the episode. The person who was talking to them, the woman, was talking to them from outside of the game and then contacts them saying, oh, well, this is some stuff that's gonna happen, so this is a game. And then this guy appears, basically throws away her screen and says, okay, follow the rules. Please pay attention to me now. I'm like, okay, sharp teeth, weird colors, fancy suit. I don't like this guy. And, you know, he just totally blew off the person who was kindly describing how to do the competition, but seemed to tell her to follow the rules and not necessarily the contestants. So he basically says, everyone's gonna win money if you win. So everyone immediately things start going awry, where it's basically Fall Guys, but like in this art style. So they're doing Wipeout like courses, American Ninja Warrior kind of stuff, very simple American Ninja Warrior things, much more like Wipeout in truth. The super gamer guy seems to be the guy who is taking everything seriously and doing the best. Everyone seems to be taking a hint off of his playbook, and he's allowing people to go first in front of him so he can make sure that his playbook is right. But then this guy says, oh, we need to change up the rules a little bit, and they create the fog that's slowly rising up this tower. So now everyone's in a rush. So it's no longer take your time. It is now run, or else you're going to be swallowed by the fog, and you don't know what happens when you're swallowed by the fog. You probably lose. Then we have this scene where the fashionista almost falls down. Necronomico catches her and basically pulls her up, but this giant eyeball shows up when they're about to fall. So I don't know if that's like an enemy. I don't know what that is, but it's fairly interesting. It's kind of scary. Obviously she doesn't like it. Interesting enough. And then both Necronomico and her tumble into the goal, and we change back to our original art style. This is actually the first frame that I have included with her in it. This is Necronomico. It's hard to remember her name. She has just tumbled in here, and I believe 7 other people end up showing up, and we actually see this guy in person, not just some guy floating around in the sky. Now we can see him, and the fashionista is not happy with him. She's like, I thought I was gonna die. This is obviously so mean. You're mean. Then this guy who shouts, I am a villain in every single way. He reminds me of Dio. He seemed to have thought that VR tournaments were dumb, but he seems to be enjoying this one, at least. He even has these 2 little girls kind of like rooting for him, hanging out with him, calling some people impressive. We also see this weird bird person, very strange. And besides the bird person and this guy that looks like Dio, we get this red-haired kind of 9-tailed fox kind of person, and they all seem to be cheering these people on. And someone says something about, oh yeah, all the people who failed, they are physically okay. I'm like, what do you mean physically okay? Like, do you mean you fried their internals? Like, did you fry their brain? Because that's still like physical, you know? Like, I don't know what they mean by they are physically okay. Did you traumatize them? I don't know. Then what seems to be the breaking point for Necronomico is this woman showing up, which she seems to immediately associate with the woman who she used to live with. So this is the person who was a big streamer, and she was like really close friends with. She lived with her, possibly even related. I couldn't say for sure. These guys seem to be fairly close. And her name was Mako, and we learn that immediately Necronomico just recognizes her, just like, you're too close to not be her. Obviously that is my friend's face. Why are you wearing my friend's face? And she says, I borrowed it from a VTuber and the like. What? And the like. Okay, obviously not like the best English, unless she's like being fancy, being all like, ooh de doo de doo, oh yeah, and such, and the like. It's like, nobody says that, but okay, I can see that maybe being something people complain about. But Betty from ReZero always says, you know, like, I suppose, even if it doesn't make sense. So, you know, some characters are just a little weird like that. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but you know, again, it has a 2.6 rating. I have to figure out why people don't like it. Then they finally leave the game and they are greeted to all the people who have failed being strung up like this. That doesn't look physically fine to me. What do you guys think? Is that physically fine? I don't know if anyone would consider this physically fine. So those red threads that they had tied up in them, been connected to the system through, seem to have tightened and hung them, but they all seem to be breathing. At least that's what everyone says. And this is very possibly why Mako was in the hospital, because this probably happened to her. And our favorite receptionist woman who introduced us all to this problem says, you must now enter a game with these evil gods and like defeat them, I guess. So those guys who are stealing faces from like other people, they're evil gods, according to this anime, that have somehow been trapped inside this game. So it's quite interesting to me. We have this open possibility of changing art styles into like not only the CGI, but I would even assume like you could change it into almost hyper realism, regular anime, different types of anime, maybe even Western kind of anime. Like just because these evil gods want to, they could do anything they want, I assume. And they're going to basically be torturing everyone who joins the game, or at least bringing themselves entertainment from their existence. That's essentially the synopsis of episode 1. What do you guys think? Will you be giving this anime a shot? Do you think it's going to be good enough to continue watching? What do you guys think the issue is with the 2.6 rating? I can't say for sure. Honestly, I'm not too upset about it so far, and I really want to see where it goes. Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content or just want more anime updates. Hit the notification bell. And until next time, you guys have a blessed day.